Today, I'm going to change the way you think about wealth. Because the book that I'm going to talk to you about, this particular book, really, literally changed the way I think about wealth. And it's very, very cool. Uh, the guy is a Silicon Valley veteran. He's an Indian who went to the US, studied there, and then I think they immigrated uh, quite early in his life. And then ever since he's been there, wanted to become a scientist. Turned out he had more of a business acumen, so went into startups, the best of both worlds, science, technology, as well as business. So made multiple startups, created them, sold them, learnt his lessons, and now is the is a big angel investor in, I think, Twitter, Uber, uh, and such pretty cool companies out there. And yeah, he did not write the book directly, but he spoke about it. He wrote a couple of Twitter threads, not just couple, but a lot of Twitter threads when it was called Twitter. And then this guy, Eric Georgeson, sorry about the name, but he compiled it all together into this book that is in front of us. And the book's name is called The Almanack of Naval Ravikant. And it's a beautiful read. It's very simple, it's very easy to digest, written in very simple words, but the concepts, the ideas, the way to think about the world, that really changes, and it really shows how an entrepreneur looks at the world, right? So there are really couple of pointers in this that I really loved, and of course one of them is one of my favorite that kind of changed the life, changed my life. So let me just quickly read one of them for you. The problem with getting good at a game, especially the one with big rewards, is you continue playing it long after you should have outgrown it. Survival and replication drive puts us on the work treadmill. Hedonic adaptation keeps us there. The trick is knowing when to jump off and play instead. Now, this is a quote directly from the book. It's a tweet that Naval had written down, and the idea over here is quite simple. That when we get good at playing a game, we stick to it because we feel comfortable. We become comfortable about it and we want to stay in that comfort zone. But the problem over here is that there was a particular reason why we got into that game, and there's a particular reason why we are staying there. But that reason might not even exist today. Both of these reasons might not exist today, right? So, for example, we get into a particular job or industry just to survive, just to kind of get that initial boost in salary, in job security, and all of these things. But once we get good at that particular job, at that particular industry, we forget that, hey, my passion lies in, I don't know, arts, and my passion lies in teaching, my passion lies in something else, and I don't change my industry even when I become secure, even when I've become confident. And I have that cushion to kind of shift places now. And that's what he's talking about, that survival and replication drive us. The survival and replication drive put us on the work treadmill, that we started work because of this, and then the hedonic adaptation kept us there, right? So hedonic adaptation is simply that we became comfortable with that particular job and that description and that industry, and we started knowing people, and we started we the environment we became adaptable to the environment. So that's what kept us there. The trick is knowing when to jump off and play instead. So trick is that you need to know when it is enough, when you have enough of a cushion, and go and play, and really do the stuff that you were born to do, right? And get out of that comfort zone, so to say. So that's one simple way. Another one, these are just like quips that he's making, and I really loved it, so I'm sharing it with you. Simple heuristic: if you're evenly split on a difficult decision if you're evenly split on a difficult decision, take the path more painful in the short term. right? So this is a great way to make decisions, especially the hard decisions. So when you're equally split, that means there's a 50-50 chance of taking one decision or the other. You should take the difficult decision in the short run, right? Why is that? Because if there are other people in the same boat as you making those decisions, then usually people would go for the simpler one, and the difficult option remains open for more opportunities, more ideas, more thoughts, and growth. So that's why it's better to take the difficult decision in the short term and make your life easier in the coming months, years, and decades. Reading, this is the next one. Reading science, math, and philosophy 1 hour per day will likely put you at the upper echelon of human success within 7 years. Reading science, math, and philosophy 1 hour per day will likely put you at the upper echelon of human success within 7 years, right? And this is not me talking about it. I preach it, I live it, I work on it, but this is not me talking about it. I just found it and I'm sharing with you. So reading science, math, and philosophy really gives you an edge that most people are just spend their entire life looking for. All right. So coming to the best part of it, this is called How to Get Rich Without Getting Lucky, and this book kind of changed my trajectory, and this particular thread changed my trajectory of understanding what is rich, what is wealth, what does it all mean, right? So I'm not gonna share that exact thing with you because this is more of a book review over here, or rather what I learned from it. So I want to tell you what I learned from this particular Twitter thread. Now, Naval says that, hey, there's first of all a difference between wealth, rich, and money, right? So these three concepts, and these are concepts which showcase that they kind of come to the world in different ways, but the concepts are very different, right? For example, money is a concept, it's a way to exchange value, right? It's a way to store value and then of course to exchange value. That means if I get someone else to do some work for me, right? So someone comes home, they cut trees for me, and they've done a service for me because the trees were really becoming a problem for me. Then they have done something of value for me, and I need to exchange that. I need to compensate them, or say that, hey, I owe you, that I will do something for you in the future whenever you want me to do. And in order to show that I owe you, or share that I owe you, I give them some coins, right? Because I had some coins lying around. Or I could just write down on a piece of paper, hey, this much work was done, happy to do XYZ, the X hours of work for your service today, right? So even if I give that receipt, that paper, that becomes an IOU, that, hey, you have now a written record of the work that you did, and whenever in the future you need my help, you can come back and showcase it to me, and I'll do your work at that time. And that's the simple idea of money, that it's a way to communicate, not just communicate, but it's a way to exchange these IOUs, these favors that we do for each other, right? So that's the idea of money. Now, that is not rich. Money does not make you rich. What is rich? Rich is just this idea or a concept of comparison. Who has more money, who has less money? Because now it's a store of value. The money itself has become a store of value. How much value am I creating for the people around me, right? Now, another thing to understand is that money is not the only way. The money, that is the paper money or the coins, are not the only way that we exchange value. We can exchange value in different ways. How? We can exchange value in bitcoins, right? We can exchange value in stocks, that is shares of a company. We can exchange value in terms of coupons, right? So those also become money. We can exchange value in terms of wallet money or wallet cash, whatever they call it nowadays. So all of these are different ways to store that value, right? And to keep you give this illusion that it's money. Credit card points are a way to store value. That's also money in a way, right? I mean, you can redeem it, you can use them, and so that's what money is. Now, the idea of rich is how much or how less you have, right? So it's a comparison. It's always relative. I am richer than someone on the street, right? That means someone who lives on the street, I'm richer than them because I have a roof on my head. I have enough money to buy new clothes. I have, enough money to buy this device where I'm recording this video, and so on. But I'm also poorer compared to someone who has a private jet, right? So it's a comparison. It's never, you can never be, it can never be enough, right? You can compare in terms of softness. That means you can be rich in terms of uh, you know health. You can be rich in terms of relationships, and so on and so forth. But rich is a concept. It's a relative concept. It's There's nothing else about it. Now, the third thing, and which is the one that we're going to talk about right now, is wealth is, in economic sense, it simply means that you have assets that work when you are sleeping. That means you don't have to exchange your time in order to earn money, or rather, you don't have to exchange time in order to create value for others through which you earn money, right? You understand? So you're not really earning money directly. What you're doing is you created an asset, right? It could be a building, it could be this video that I'm creating, which is creating value for someone else, which is you right now who's listening to this, which is someone who's renting out that property or that building. And then through that value, I receive money. I receive money for that particular value that I created, right? And that's the beauty of it, that you create assets. These assets create value, and that value then generates you some cash that you put in your pocket. And that's the beauty of it. That's wealth. Once you understand this particular concept of wealth, now we use these terms very interchangeably and very mindlessly at times, but once you have a very clear concept, hey, this is what I mean by wealth, for yourself at least, right? It does not matter what other people think about it. What you think about it matters, because when now every time you think about wealth, you're thinking about creating assets that create value, which will get you cash, right? So you're not mindlessly focusing on other people's definitions, because those definitions keep on changing. Those definitions themselves are not very clear for them, right? So it's just better if you have a clear understanding of your own definitions for these particular words. Once you have that, once you have this clear understanding of wealth, now you can take it forward and understand this particular thing that he talks about. Seek wealth, not money or status. Wealth is having assets that earn while you sleep. Money is how we transfer time and wealth. Status is your place in social hierarchy, right? So this is the fourth word that he talks about, which is status. I don't want to get too much into it, but status is essentially, again, fame. How much of a position do you have? Power, all of these things. Status is not something that I am concerned about or care about. Not something that I enjoy much, so that's why I'm not going to talk about it so much. But it is an important concept to understand and to realize that, hey, like, there are places where there are status is important, and so on. Now, understand ethical wealth creation is possible. Ethical wealth creation is possible. If you secretly despise wealth, it will elude you. So this is the most important thing, that you have to understand that ethical wealth creation is possible, right? Now, another important thing is that you're not going to get rich renting out your time. You must own equity, a piece of business, to gain your financial freedom. Now, what does that mean? Equity is simply another way to kind of, another way to hold that wealth. Now, the equity in terms of the word is a piece or shares of a business that you are a part of, right? So it could be on the stock market, where you don't run the day to day, but it could also be as your own business, right? So if I run my own business and I am the founder, co-founder, director in it, I probably own an equity in that, and that equity is something that gets valuable over time as the business does well. right? So it's just another way to store value. Now, essentially, I cannot use that equity in most ways. What I can do is I can either loan that equity out to get cash, or I can sell that equity to get cash, right? So that's what startup founders do when they create a startup which becomes big. They sell off a percentage of that equity. So if they started with say 50% equity, they sell off say 5%, 10% to investors, and using that selling amount, they put some of that cash into their bank accounts, and that's how they become wealthy over time, right? So, and that's what you keep doing. The longer you hold, the higher chances that the value of the company goes higher, right? So that means, say, I started at 50, I sold 5% of the company in say 2020, then and I got like say $1 million for that 5%. There's a good chance that in 5 years later, that is in 2025 today, if I sell another 5% of it, I'll probably get 5 times more money out of it, right? Depending on what kind of business it is, what kind of growth it is, what is the valuation that it's creating. But there's a good chance that I would have like a 5 times growth in it, especially if it's a startup, right? Because startups grow faster. Now, why am I talking all about all of these things? Because you have to understand these particular words: equity, status, wealth, rich. Because once you have a very clear understanding of these words, only then you can actually you can build on top of this, right? So understanding starts with words. Words are the atoms of clear understanding. So in order to understand the world around you, you really have to have a clear definition of the words around you. That's what science does, right? Even in science, in physics, there are very clear definitions as to what energy is, what work is, right? It's not vaguely used how we use it in day-to-day conversation. There's a very clear description and definition of how and when we are going to be using this term energy, or work, or I don't know, up, down, uh, momentum, inertia. All of these things have a very clear way to denote them in physics. And similarly, when you're understanding anything for that matter over here, which is over here we're talking about wealth. So you need to have a very clear understanding of what this is for you, right? Now you have to understand, when you go out and interface with the world, there might be changes and clashes in the definition. So your definition and their definition might be a slightly different, and that's why you have to bridge that with their understanding as well. So either you make them understand your part of it, or it's easier and better when you understand their part, and then you mold yourself accordingly. But more importantly, it's having that understanding that, hey, like, my definition of the word and the concept can be and probably is quite different from other person's definition, and so we need to bridge that gap whenever we have to interface, right? And that allows you to work through life easily. Even though you have a very different concept, you are still able to go through life easily and in a better way, I hope, right? So anyways, like, coming back to this, you will get rich by giving society what it wants but does not yet know how to get at scale. So this is the coolest part of it. You will get rich. This is the easiest statement ever, right? If you figure this out, and if you apply the concepts over here, the simple concepts that he's mentioned, there is a guarantee that you will be in the upper echelons of the human race. So it's so simple. You will get rich by giving society what it wants, but does not yet know how to get at scale. So if I need good health, and I don't know how to get good health at a cheaper cost, and someone else, a startup, comes and says that, hey, I will give you good health at a cheaper cost, and I will do that for 10,000 other people, that startup is going to work. That startup is going to make money, and it's gonna make the founders earn well, and you'll become rich. They'll become rich, right? So I'm not gonna read out each and everything. I'm gonna just talk about things that I have marked and want to talk about, right? So you should definitely get this particular book and read it out, because that's how you'll know better. Next one. So arm yourself with specific knowledge, accountability, and leverage. Now, these three things, again, important words, important keywords. Arm yourself with specific knowledge, accountability, and leverage. Right? Now, specific knowledge is the knowledge that you cannot be trained for. It Society can train you, it can train someone else and replace you. So, specific knowledge is this idea that you created something out of your personality, right? It can be it can be ways to create a new motor, uh, or a new generator, which is what Tesla did. The scientist Tesla, not the company. He created a new way to generate electricity, which was the AC generator, and or the AC uh, way of generating electricity. And then, he created it for scale. Like he was able to get it to scale. But yeah, so you know that was his unique way to do it. That was his specific knowledge. No one else could figure it out at that time. It was so crazy and innovative. He did it all in his head. He would, it's just a crazy story. I'll probably cover it in some other video. But arm yourself with specific knowledge. Specific knowledge is that knowledge that comes completely from curiosity, right? So you run behind it. You find out what it is, what they're talking about, what is cool about them, and that's what specific knowledge becomes. So it's not something that you can be trained for. It's something that comes from innate, like understanding. It comes from curiosity. It comes from understanding. It comes from just following what you care about over time. He also writes it, Naval also writes it over here. Specific knowledge is found by pursuing your genuine curiosity and passion rather than whatever is hot right now. So you don't run behind trends. You actually pursue your genuine curiosity and your genuine passion rather than whatever is hot. And passion over here is not the cringe word that we know about. It's not about following your passion blindly, but it's more about how does the world what does the world need today, and how does your interests kind of fit into that world, right? So it's passion in that way. So it's not just photography for the sake of photography. That is too generic. You still need to go deeper into it. So you need to specialize. You really need to specialize into something. Is it animal photography? Is it baby photography? Can I get really really passionate about a certain discipline that very few people are talking about, right? And that's how you contribute to that particular segment. So uh, you know can I just find that one segment of the society where no one is talking about anything, and it's like an open field. It's a very small field, but it's still an open field. And that's how you kind of start, right? And that, at least that's how I've thought about it. So that's specific knowledge. Now, uh, next is embrace accountability. Now, embrace accountability is taking business risk under your own name. Society will reward you with responsibility, equity, and leverage. Now, when you take risks, business risks, that means you take decisions, bold decisions, you actually execute, you carry forward your plan, you give the results, you share the results, and so on. All of these things come together, and that becomes accountability. That, hey, like, Atre is doing these things. Yeah, your name gets put forward and could get connected with that particular thing. So Atre is doing this particular thing. Atre is doing Kaitra Jams. Atre is doing, I don't know, it's creating these videos and teaching students and students and professionals. And that's what accountability is. There is a good chance, and possibly the reason why I'm sharing these videos so late is that I was scared that, hey, like, what if I'm wrong? What if I don't know shit? What if I am stupid about talking about all of these things to teenagers or to professionals who probably already know about these things? So that's why. So it's important to understand that you have to take accountability at some point. You have to take that particular thing in your own hands. That's accountability. Next is leverage. Now, leverage means that you input a small amount of energy and you output a lot of result, right? And that's what leverage is. So this again comes directly from physics, which is give me a lever long enough and a place to stand and I will move the earth. That's by Archimedes. And man, this is beautiful. Fortune requires leverage. Business leverage comes from capital, people, and products with no marginal cost of replication. Now, what he's talking about is fortune requires leverage. Now, coming back to the earlier stage, that you will become rich when you are able to solve society's problems that they don't know how to solve yet at scale. Now, scale in a word, how do you achieve that scale? You achieve that scale by leverage. You cannot be doing 10,000 hours of work, right? Because that is just not humanly possible. You can do it slowly, one by one, but you can't do it in one go. If that is, in one day you cannot accomplish 10,000 hours of work. But what you can do is you can hire 10 other people, and each one of them puts in the effort, and you can cover a lot more ground, right? And that's what this is about. That is leverage. To be able to hire 10 more people, that's leverage. To be able to have that capital to deploy a new machine that can do the work of 20 other people, that's leverage, right? So now, in order to get to that scale, get to that point where you're able to help people with so much leverage, or so much scale, so many people, you need scale, and you need that scale through leverage. That leverage is where the game is, where when you figure out this particular word and understand how this can apply to your context, it's a game changer, right? AI today is a leverage. It's a tool for leverage, right? If I had to make one video and it would take 1 week, now I can make it in few hours through AI. I can ideate, I can script it, I can create thumbnail through it, and finally I can probably post it also through it, right? And if I can do all of these things in few hours, I'm saving all of that time, and I probably don't have to hire people for it, right? So that is leverage. That is real leverage, that I can utilize my time efficiently. I can put in just 4 hours and input and a video that can stay on forever, right? So that is leverage. So he's talking about three types of leverage. One is capital, which is money. Second is people, that is people who follow you or are willing to work for you, right? So those are people. That's another form of leverage. And then the third one is products with no marginal cost of replication, which is code and media, right? So it's not really three, it's actually four, which is code and media. Now, code is something that you can create, you can put it up on the web, and it stays on forever, right? That's code. You don't have to worry about it. Of course, you need to pay for the servers and all of those things, but you don't really have to worry about anything else. That's one way to do it. Second way to do it is a media. Media is that you create a video, you put it up over there, and it's there, right? Anyone can come, anyone can look at it, anyone can learn from it, and it works beautifully through that, right? Now, the new riches today in the past 5 years that I've seen are through code and media, right? Code was Windows, that is Microsoft, it was Facebook, it was Snapchat, and it was Instagram, and so on and so forth. Those were all code. But now, most of the people that are getting rich and wealthy are coming through media, which is these podcasters, these YouTubers, these people with really cool ideas and putting it up on things. Physics Wala came out completely from YouTube using media, right? So all of those things are really cool. And leverage gives you, especially the code and media, gives you asymmetric returns, because you put in, I don't know, an hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, one day of effort, and you monetize for your lifetime. You don't know who's looking at it, who's reading it, who's listening to you, and something else pops out of it from the other end. And that's what the beauty of it is, right? So these are three ways or four ways that he's talking about on leverage, which is capital, people, code, and media. So four ways that you can build leverage right now. There are other ways as well, but I think all of them can be encapsulated in these four, which is the beauty of it. And of course, you also have, like, under capital, he's also talking about all of the assets like building a factory, building machines, having a building. All of that comes through capital. So that's why he's put it under capital, right? So all of those are leverage parts. Now, code and media are permissionless leverage. Now, this is why this is so important, that I don't need permission to put this video up, right? There is, of course, if I curse, if I do random stuff on the video, YouTube might remove it. That's one possibility, but most of it, I don't really have to worry about making this video, putting it up online, and seeing how that goes. I don't really need permission from anyone else. But capital and people requires permission, because people need to accept to work for me or with me, right? That is a way to that's, they have to consent in order to work with me or for me. And second is capital, same thing. People need to invest in me, right? They have to give me the go ahead that, hey, you can take my money. So that's why he says that, Naval says that, capital and money, capital and people are permissioned leverage. That means they have to give permission. And code and media are permissionless leverage. So you have to use as much of it and utilize it really well. That's what this is about. Now, finally, work as hard as you can, even though who you work with and what you work on are more important than how hard you work. Right? So this is again a way to redefine how you look at work. Work as hard as you can. जितना हो सकता है उतना करना है. Sorry about the Hindi. Sometimes it comes out. Even though who you work with and what you work on. So who you work with are your relationships. That includes your family relationships, but over here it's mostly professional relationships. And second is what you work on. What project are you taking up? So these two things are more important than how hard you work, right? So that is really important, because if you become so important to a select group of people that you're irreplaceable, then it does not matter how hard you're working, right? Opportunity will seek you rather than you seeking the opportunity, because you've become so valuable for the right kind of people that whenever they face a difficulty, they have to come to you, right? And that's what this is about. Work as hard as you can, even though who you work with and what you work on are more important than how hard you work, right? Finally, become the best in the world at what you do. Keep redefining what you do until this is true. So you don't get fixated on a particular job title or a particular degree, or even a particular branch, right? You have to keep tweaking yourself, keep redefining yourself, keep figuring out and iterating with yourself. But when you do, become the best in it, right? Become the best person who teaches something, become the best person who does something, who implements a solution, who creates the car, who designs the car, who creates the website, and so on and so forth. So creating to getting really good at something in the world, that is beautiful, because we're moving towards a way of the world where if you're the one with the skills, with the brand, with the presence, with the right connections, in the right place, the kind of result that people are looking for, then you have a niche of your own, right? So you become like, people want to work with you because of the results that you're creating, unlike the other way around, right? And that's the beauty of it. So yeah, become the best in the world at what you do. Keep redefining what you do until this is true. So this is, and at the end he gives a summary, which is productize yourself. This is what he leaves us with the end, and yeah, I think that's kind of true. I'm trying to do that with these videos that I'm creating for you, and I think this is one of the best books ever that I read. At least this part, which is building our own wealth, the Almanack of Naval Ravikant, and I would want you to go and read it yourself. check it out. I'm putting down the link in the description as well, so check it out and follow and subscribe the channel for more. You can also join my mailing list. The link would be there up on the YouTube thing somewhere. I will also put it in the description. So join the mailing list where I share more insights from these books and from my ideas and experiences and stuff. So that newsletter comes around every week. So yeah, join in, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.